Here are the tests that you guys requested for my 1930 Eljer Sanus. It is set to this level in the tank because it flushes very nicely like this. It is using a standard brass flush valve with tank ball. So I will show you guys a flush and then let's see how it does on all these tests. This toilet has a very awesome flush, and it should do really well on these tests. For the first test, let's see how it flushes with dye in the tank. Chicagoland Trains and Toilets, as well as Calvin and Jobs, requested this one. Actually, Calvin and Jobs requested Gatorade, but dye is essentially the same thing. So let's see a blue flush. That really wasn't as blue as I thought it would be. I put 20 drops in the tank, but I guess 20 drops mixed in with 5 gallons of water really doesn't turn out to be much. I feel like I'll end up using my entire jar of dye if I try to do more. So sorry that one didn't turn out too well. For the next test, let's see if it can take 2 washcloths. This was requested by Bowie Ook Kam. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but I have difficulty pronouncing them sometimes. So 2 washcloths. Let's see how it does. It tried to take them right at the start of the flush, which is why it struggled slightly, but I imagine if I had laid them out better, it would have done better. For the next test, let's see if it can take 3 washcloths. This was requested by Hay, that's H-E-Y-Y in all caps, and Christopher Dixon. Honestly, I think it'll pass. It's not looking too great. I'll try another flush. Master Flush and Inactive asked if I could overflow it, and we might just get to see that. It took it without help, but it overflowed, so I would consider that a fail. For the next test, Cello Kid 12 asks if I can try 5 washcloths. I can't see this going well. It stuck badly. It got one of them though. That's cool. I'll try leaving them in balls like this. I'll give it another flush and see if it does any better. Honestly, I think it will still clog. It would have clogged, but it passed with help. So I wouldn't really call that great, but at least it didn't overflow like last time. However, that would have been kind of cool. For the next test, let's try a washcloth and a dish towel. This was requested by Oliver and the Morrisons. I don't know why my dish towel looks like that, but it'll still serve its purpose. Honestly, I think it will clog. It just didn't have enough water. I'll go ahead and give that another flush and see if it can take it like that. For the next test, let's try 2 socks. I just got 2 old mismatched socks from my dresser drawer that I don't need anymore and that I was going to throw out. So let's see if it can take them. This test was requested by DJT Plumbing. It should pass perfectly. Perfect pass, as expected. I could see them at the end of the pipe even before the second siphon. For the next test, let's try 7 grocery bags, because the Kohler Wellworth Ingenium was able to pass this test. This one was requested by Lab Boys 2 EAS. That toilet had a pretty swirly flush, which would help in this situation. So if this does worse than that, it doesn't mean that that's a better performer. Also, I believe that I did ball them up in that video. I haven't seen it in a couple years now, but let's see how it does. 7 grocery bags. I can really see how a swirly flush would have made it easier. I guess I'll just try dropping them in as it's flushing and seeing if it can take 7 of them that way. And there you have it. For the next test, let's try 2 paper towels. This was requested by Pinkie Pie the Cutest Pony 378 HD. I think it should pass this easily. Even if the handle wasn't stuck open, it would have still passed that perfectly. I'll make sure I fix that before I continue. Now, let's try 8 paper towels. This test was requested by Master Flush. He actually requested 15, but I really don't think it would have taken that, and that's kind of a lot of paper towels. So I decided to narrow it to 8. So let's see if it can take 8 paper towels. It did perfectly. I really should have done 15. It just seemed like a lot, but I guess we'll see how it does on toilet paper and stuff. For the next test, let's see if it can take 2 dish towels. This was requested by Toilets of Georgia. Honestly, it's gonna clog, and it's gonna clog hard. Yeah, I didn't really see that going anywhere. For the next test, let's see if it can flush a grocery bag without holes in it. For those who don't know, I poke holes in my grocery bags so that they do not air up during tests. So this one does not have holes in it. Let's see how it does. And this was also requested by Toilets of Georgia. Did perfectly. For the next test, let's try 20 golf balls. Today I actually went and bought a bag of 50 practice balls from someone on Facebook because for the longest time I haven't had golf balls. So now I have more than 20. Let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And this test was requested by BMS Plumbing and Restorations. And yet again, another partially clogged flush. I'm going to go ahead and give that a second try. Looks like it did pretty well to me, but I don't see all 20 of them at the end of the pipe. Yeah, that looks partially clogged to me. They're probably in the bottom leg of the trapway. I'll go ahead and pull those out and then I'll get on with the rest of the tests. Well, I was able to get the golf balls out, but I had to remove the toilet, flip it over, and a total of 15 golf balls were stuck in that trapway. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it. That's a lot of golf balls to be stuck in the trapway of one toilet. And it was just in the bottom leg of the trapway. You saw my hand went entirely up and I could feel over the top of the trap and there were no golf balls. So they were all in the bottom leg of the trapway. And when I say I removed the toilet, I removed a low tank toilet. I had to take down the tank, and then when I put it back up, I had to adjust all the shims and screw the pipe back on, check for leaks, as well as set the bowl back in place. Anyway, that is that. Thankfully the toilet didn't break, but now let's move on to the next test. Let's try a few rubber bands. This was requested by DJT Plumbing. They were out of the pipe before it even siphoned. For the next test, let's see if it can take 2 face masks. It's been a while since I ever pulled these out. Took me a little time to just find 2 of them. Perfect pass, as expected. Before the next test, I forgot to mention that the masks test was requested by Pinkie Pie the Cutest Pony 378 HD. So now, for the next test, let's see if it can take foam. And this test was requested by AJD Plumbing. So this is very soapy water. All I have to do is stir it and it will become foam. That's a good bit of foam. Let's see if it can pass. I've seen some toilets do pretty badly at that. Honestly, that did really, really well. This toilet has perfect bowl clearance. For the next test, let's see how it flushes partially clogged. I actually think we got a pretty good example of that earlier, but let's do a planned one this time. This was requested by VTH Plumbing. I just turned the pipe upright, so it's draining very slowly and it will have a nice gurgle at the end. I'll go ahead and skip to that. Well, that was a very nice partially clogged flush. For the next test, Poland Ball asks if I can flush 15 feet of toilet paper. Yes, I sure can. Did awesome, as expected. For the next test, let's try 40 feet of toilet paper. This test was requested by Pinkie Pie the Cutest Pony 378 HD. I have measured. This is 40 feet of toilet paper, and that was 15. Honestly, I think it'll clog. That's clogged all right, and it's not going through. I'm gonna go ahead and let that refill and give it one more flush. Can't miss that gurgle though. And there's another partially clogged flush for you, VTH Plumbing. And another overflow. That was a lot of toilet paper. Now, let's try balled up toilet paper. This test was requested by SLT Tech Dude. I'm just going to move these apart a little bit because I feel like this toilet's going to clog very, very hard if it tries to take them both at once. Those are some pretty big balls of toilet paper, but it took them like nothing. For the next test, let's try packing peanuts. Actual classic peanut-shaped packing peanuts. This one was requested by Michigan Toilet and Elevator Productions. These are actual foam ones. They aren't the cornstarch kind, so I think they're a little harder. I'm going to go ahead and give that a second flush. It's really having trouble with those. There. I don't know why it took so long, but they're all down, or at least most of them are. For the next test, let's see if it can take 50 bottle caps. I actually have almost 50 bottle caps, and the ones that I was missing I substitute with similar things like flush valve caps, and then I have one of these little lock rings from a Fluid Master fill valve. So 50 bottle caps or bottle cap shaped items requested by the Toilet Frenzy. Let's see how it does. Perfect pass. Now, let's see if it can take grass. This is a nice good bit of grass, and a beetle is in there too. So, this test was requested by East Canada Fire Alarms and SGT Toilets and Restroom Tours. So, let's see if it can pass this grass and that roach. Now that's what I call a perfect pass, and the roach made it safe and sound out to the other side. For the next test, let's see if it can take dirt. But I already did a dirt test. This isn't just any dirt test, this is a dirt test with a clogged siphon jet. And it was requested by Oliver and the Morrisons. So let's see how it does. It took its sweet time, but it got it mostly down. I'll go ahead and show the rim. Looks like it did pretty perfectly aside from that. Yeah, that was the only thing it missed around the sides. Then it just missed a couple little strings and bits in the trapway. Or not the trapway, just the general bowl area. So I'm going to go ahead and give that another flush and clear out the rest of the dirt there so that it's clean for our next massive dirt test. Now, let's see if it can flush 5 pounds of dirt. This test was requested by Bowie Ook Com, Toilets and Tests, and CGL Plumbing. Measured on a scale, that is 5 pounds of dirt. How many flushes do you think it'll take? Wow. I can't say it took one because there are still a lot of particles, but that's about as good as it gets. That was really, really, really impressive. Let's do one more flush to get the rest of that dirt out. Amazing. Now, let's see if it can take ketchup. This test was requested by Robert Smith's Hobby Productions, Bowie Ook Com, and the Toilet Frenzy. The Toilet Frenzy actually requested chocolate syrup. Unfortunately, I don't have chocolate syrup, so I'm substituting it with ketchup. They put enough sugar in this stuff that it should be considered syrup, so let's see how it does. Perfect pass. Much better than a pressure light. Now, let's try another ketchup test, but this time with the ketchup only on the sides. This was requested by the Toilet Frenzy. Again, he requested chocolate syrup, which unfortunately I do not have. I think that's about as much on the sides as you can get. I'm gonna say perfect pass. Now that is what I call bowl rinse. Now for the final test, let's do a dye test. This was requested by the Can and Train Lover. I don't know how many droplets this is, but it's a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that in. And just for good measure, I'll drip some on the sides too. There we go. That's enough dye. Let's see how it does. Perfect pass. Now for the actual last test, which I wouldn't really actually call a test, but Calvin and Jobs asks if I can write "kick me" on a piece of paper and tape it to the back of the tank. That's got to be about the weirdest one I've ever had. So I've got here a piece of paper. I'm going to write "kick me" on it, and I'm going to tape it to the back. I can't find my tape, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna go like this. And this should do the trick. So anyway, thank you all for those test requests. It's been fun making this video, and I look forward to doing another one. So that is all for this one. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps my channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.